Donald Trump visited Versailles last night as part of his G7 trip. He will now be the first American president to see it and think he was robbed of his rightful inheritance. In keeping with the Tale of Two Cities vibe, Apple announced yesterday that they're raising prices on their products, which they say is unavoidable because of the surging costs of memory and storage chips as a result of the AI boom. Which is insane because my iPhone works far better than any AI. Today, we also have the Trump administration's plans for special education, plus details of the Iran deal, which was signed last night, and now we know why Trump kept it a secret. It is so much worse than the JCPOA. Then we have a treat, Australians at the World Cup cheering that Donald Trump is a sex offender. They really did. And you will never guess who is in talks to star in a movie about January 6th, directed by Penn. I'm Sammy Sage with all of your current events in 10 minutes. Subscribe and turn on notifications to know what the is going on every morning. Let's get into it. When I heard that Donald Trump, our dear president, was going to Versailles, I really thought it was too on the nose, but it turns out it was actually an invitation from French President Emmanuel Macron, which he extended specifically in honor of celebrating America's 250th birthday. I don't know about you, but I'm already celebrated out on this one. I was honestly wondering if this was some sort of specially designed troll for Donald, but it actually seems like Versailles is frequently used for big deal dinners. Macron hosted King Charles and Camilla there in 2021 for Versailles' 400th anniversary, plus a bunch of celebrities have been there. You see, some of us grew up with anniversary restaurants. Others with anniversary palaces. That Versailles dinner took place amidst the closing of the U.S.-Iran deal, which I seem to recall the Vice President, J.D. Vance, had been in charge of negotiating at some point. Unfortunately, J.D. seems to be busy making the rounds on his book tour, repulsing the people of America one appearance at a time. Anyway, the deal with Iran was originally supposed to be signed in a formal ceremony on Friday in Switzerland, but Donald Trump ended up signing it remotely in a hastily arranged, decidedly not that formal gaggle last night. Even though I thought he was waiting for a formal setting. What the hell? The whole thing is honestly very strange, as the 2-page memorandum of understanding ended up being leaked ahead of the spontaneous signing, which led to Donald devoting quite a bit of time at the G7 defending the deal that he had just spent like 2 days trying to keep everyone from hearing about.
It's a very strong deal. Nobody knows what it is, but it's very strong. And most people seem to be very happy. Who's really happy is the market. It's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding, and if I don't like it, we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head.
When do you expect the word?
If I don't like it, if they don't behave, we'll go right back to dropping bombs right smack in the middle of their head.
And let me just say, this deal was the ultimate taco.
So we'll be working on a parallel effort with the Gulf nations to address non-nuclear issues such as the conventional ballistic missiles, which we'll be talking about, and support. I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some. Somebody said you shouldn't give them more. And I have guys. I like some of these guys, but I don't think they're smart. Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. I said, well, what am I going to do? They're going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir. It doesn't work that way, you know? It doesn't work that way. And missiles aren't the problem. They hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet. The stock market is quite brilliant. And every time we said something amazing, like we're going to settle, it would go up. And every time we said something negative, like, guess what, we're not going to be able to settle, it would go down. This way, if it works out, I'm going to take the credit. If it doesn't work out, I'm blaming JD. You better be careful, JD.
So this agreement is now in effect, and here's what they agreed to. Ending the war on all fronts, including Lebanon immediately, and starting a 60-day period of negotiations, the U.S. ending its naval blockade, and Iran opening the Strait of Hormuz to pre-war volume within 30 days. The U.S. and its allies will finance at least $300 billion in reconstruction and economic development in Iran, plus end sanctions. Iran also says, again, that they will never produce nuclear weapons, though the rest of the nuclear questions will be negotiated in the next agreement. And all of this will be binding through a UN Security Council resolution. After these points were confirmed, the public reaction, particularly from Trump's Republican base and from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, was quite negative. And that's because, to be frank, this is much worse than the JCPOA. Perhaps this could account for why Donald was in such a rush to get it signed before Bibi could do something to mess it up. Their relationship does seem to be going a bit sideways at the moment. On Tuesday, Trump said to the G7 summit, quote,
"Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did."
Israel continued to launch strikes on Lebanon yesterday, at least before the deal was officially signed. There's some important context here. Bibi has an election coming up in October, and criticizing the outcome of this deal would be to admit less than total victory, which is not something he can say out loud if he wants to get reelected. I guess we'll see, though. Also on the election beat, but over here, we have some results from Tuesday's primaries. 3 of Trump's chosen candidates for Senate won their primaries. Republican Congressman Mike Collins in Georgia, who will go up against Senator My Boo, John Ossoff, Congressman Kevin Hern in Oklahoma, and Alabama Congressman Barry Moore. But not all of Trump's preferred candidates won. His pick in the Republican primary for Georgia governor, current Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, lost to a wealthy healthcare executive who spent over $200 million in this race. And also for Georgia Secretary of State. The good news there is that an election denier won't be running Georgia's elections. So we got that going for us. Speaking of Georgia's elections, though, redistricting will not be happening this year, after the Republican-led state legislature admitted that they don't have enough time to vote on a new electoral map in the current special session, which Governor Brian Kemp had actually called so they could do precisely that. But don't worry, they say that they still plan to try to revisit this before 2028, so watch out. Or vote them out in the midterms this November, and they'll no longer have that option. The Trump administration is moving right along with its plans to get rid of the Department of Education entirely, and part of that strategy involves moving all of its functions to other parts of the government. So now they've announced that they're moving special education oversight to the Department of Health and Human Services, and education civil rights enforcement, such as Title IX, will be moved to the DOJ. If you're wondering why special education would be moved to the Department of Health and Human Services, my only guess is that it comes under the umbrella of reasoning where Advil causes autism. And finally, Sean Penn is planning to direct a movie about January 6th, for which he wrote the script, and Bradley Cooper is reportedly in talks to play the lead role of a cop who gets caught up in the Capitol insurrection. Production is currently planned for mid-2027, just in time for 2028. Until tomorrow, I'm Sammy Sage, and now you know what the is going on. Make sure to press the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can hear the morning announcements right when it comes out every day.